Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore.
It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We
Wrong
have rates to
button,
fit
my
almost
bad.
any budget. Contact us at advertising at KLRNradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
And bear with me for just a moment. For some reason, my computer suddenly decided to freeze up, probably because I was randomly hitting the wrong buttons here and there. So hang on. Live radio, what are you going to do? All right, here we go.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of He Said, She Said. I am one of your hosts for the evening, Aggie, and with me is the very awesome Rowdy Rick. How are you doing tonight?
I was doing better till everything started glitching out on me. I was trying to load up the damn surprise I was making.
It's kind of appropriate, seeing as tonight is Halloween, so everything should be glitchy. Everything should be kind of possessed.
Yeah, it's kind of working out that way. It's weird because that happens all the time with us on Juxtober too. Is like every week we have some sort of weird glitch that we don't normally have. So I don't know, maybe.
Oh my goodness, yes, I remember one year Juxtober was like completely shot. We were supposed to talk about witches, and every single time we tried to talk about witches, something would happen, and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were some witches standing over a cauldron quoting Macbeth that year or something. I don't know what was going on, but
yeah, but they got smart. They decided to get handheld mixers this time instead of just the sticks to over the cauldron. So yeah,
well, that's the joys of the 21st century. That's the joys of the 21st century. They have technology to help stuff now. So anyway, so yeah, we are going to be talking ghost stories tonight. So I thought it was appropriate to mix in. The funny thing is, I actually fed the original intro into Chat GPT, and I said, okay, now I want it to sound like it's spooky, and that's what it came up with. So
That's not bad. It was actually pretty good. Yeah.
believe it or not, all it really did was slow down the pacing and then add in some scary sound effects. So yeah, it's the same intro, just slightly reworked. So, which is why it blended together pretty well when I did that. So, which is why I didn't really need the record scratch. I was just able to fade from one to the other because it was same bass speed. So, anyway,
yeah, I noticed that it faded really cool. That was neat. That was neat.
All right, but anyway, so yeah, it is Halloween. I don't know about where you are, but everybody around here did our Halloween last night. So I had a little 5-year-old running around dressed like a princess, and then she had her parade at school today. So she came home with tons of candy from that too. And this was her third trick or treating of the year, so I think she's set. And now it's time to start getting ready for things like Thanksgiving and all that fun stuff because it's getting to be that time of year. But since this is the first time in a while that I know of that we've actually done a he said, she said on Halloween, I thought it would be the perfect night to discuss some ghost stories because why not? Plus, I mean, you're from Puerto Rico. It's like one of the most haunted places in the world. So
I think it's just that we're really superstitious. I don't think it's haunted, but
Well, I was trying not to throw stones, but sure, whatever. Whatever, it's all your fault because you're all freaking just crazy. I don't know. No, not really.
We are. Yeah, so far there are no lies being told, so that's good. That's okay. No, I come from a very superstitious area in the world, and everybody knows this. And it has affected me greatly. So, no, over here we just, I dressed up, went to. Did some of the trunk or treat type of thing. It's not really trunk or treat. We had it down in Main Street. Actually, not Main Street. There's a section that they closed the street off so that people could just walk among there, and they put a fountain in the middle of it, and so there's no traffic that runs through there anymore. So that's where they set up tables, and people can come and have their baskets and everything. And so I was there, and of course, no child understood what I was, but every single adult and every single teenager did. And I try every year to come up with an idea of a costume, and I make my own costumes. I do that because to me, the fun is in making the costume. It really is. And so this year I went as a social butterfly. So I was a butterfly with all these social media emblems on my wings. And the very first one to get it was like a 14-year-old. She totally got it, like right away, not shocking anyone at all. And most of the women got it. Some guys were like, oh, okay, I get it. Some parents were like, some guys were like, yeah, not sure what you are. And I'm like, that's because you have a life. But it was pretty fun. And it was a little chilly out there. So I actually wore pants, fleece lined pants. They were black. So they kind of went with the whole look. But yeah, so that was pretty interesting. And as you know, I've had other punny costumes. Like my first costume that I ever posted on social media was, I want to say 2016, and that was June Cleaver. And I was dressed in, a very 50s dress, with a petticoat and everything. And I had the June calendar sheet with a bloody cleaver on it. Every parent got it. No kid got it. So I was like, I need to find that sweet spot where everybody gets it. Everybody gets the pun. But when it comes to puns, most kids don't get it. They really don't.
Oh yeah, I was waiting. I was like, dude, for because normally you post a little bit earlier in the day, and I know for right after you guys moved, you were thinking about discontinuing it because you're like, there's not even anybody really around here.
There's nobody here, and I think,
like, don't you dare.
Yeah, the first year that I came here, I I wasn't gonna do it because I figured, well, nobody's gonna be here. I mean, what's the point? And then, everybody in the group, the chat group that we're in, no, no, you gotta do it. I'm like, well, who am I doing it for? He's like, find somebody. So I actually did go into town and I asked, do we do trunk or treat? And they told us, oh yeah, you do, we do. And so I was like, okay, I guess I can. So
Nice.
that was great. But and I try to make my costumes as punny as possible. Sometimes they work, sometimes they do not. Sometimes they're not punny.
This one was perfect. I thought
But
this one.
oh my goodness, when I got the idea, from a wine glass I have. There's a shock. So I have a collection of Lolita wine glasses, and one of them says social butterfly on it. And I looked at it, it's like, oh, I should go as a butterfly, but that's not really punny. And then there was a thing on X about social media sites doing blah 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 blah. And I saw social media, social butterfly, and that's where it clicked.
I got it. Yeah, I have to admit, that was really cute when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's that. See, I don't have that. I don't have that kind of imagination, really. Not for that kind of stuff. My creativity lies elsewhere.
It's I don't know how I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm just weirdly wired. I don't know. But yeah, I'm weird that way. So sadly, it's not at my main account. I still don't have control of my main account, but I'm very comfortable being at this account now, and I'm like, I get the same amount of engagement, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay.
was gonna say, I was looking at some of your posts, and I'm like, damn, I don't get that kind of engagement, and I'm supposed to have more followers than her. I don't get it. Nobody likes me, man. Nobody likes me. Anyway, I mean, I wouldn't like me either, but I'm kind of stuck in here, so I don't have a choice.
Did you dress up? Tell me you dressed up, please.
No, I actually haven't in the last couple of years. I usually focus on making sure Gracie gets to dress up. So
Really?
I
I'm verklempt.
I mean, all I really need is a leather football helmet. I already look like a window looker anyway. I could go for that. I could go as that every year.
Did you see Vice President Vance?
I didn't. No, I did not.
He wore a curly-haired wig to dress up as his meme, his own meme.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to go find that. But no,
I think I posted it in one of the chats, so it's there. But I'm like, this guy has got his finger on the pulse. He really does.
Dude, he doesn't take himself seriously, which is absolutely amazing, especially for a politician. But yeah,
I think President Trump's the same way. He learned his lesson. Last time he did take himself seriously. Now he's not. He's like,
yeah. Well, I think it's because he knows he's done after this, so he's just having fun with it as he goes along this time. I think we would have seen this side of him more in his second consecutive term if he had gotten one. But I don't really know that for sure. I also think with everything he's gone through, he's just like, they've already thrown everything they can at me and they never got me, so I'm just gonna do what I want. But no, I mean, one of the reasons I haven't dressed up in a while is I think the last time I tried to dress up, which was when I was still working with OU, I went as a particular costume. Bubba J from Jeff Dunham, if you know who that is. So I posted myself in that same costume because, of course, he and I have something in common. One of our eyes just kind of does whatever the hell it wants. So I posted a picture of myself dressed in that with a side-by-side of him and put it on Facebook and said, who wore it better? And that was probably one of the first times I can tell you that I actually embarrassed my now ex-wife. So I think that might have actually been the beginning of the end of our relationship. Like, I can't believe you put that on there. I'm like, what? It's not like everybody can't see it. Shit.
Man. No, I'm like I said, I do the costumes and I want to dress up for the kids, but the thing is, dressing up for the kids is kind of like, I don't want to upstage them anymore. I used to dress up for the kids. I did. And most of the kids would come to the door and they're like, yeah, it's okay, whatever. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And one year, the best time I ever had, I wore my snake around my neck, and I would open the door, and those kids would literally jump 2 feet up in the air, freaking out. And they loved it. That was the best thing I ever did for any kid. The parents were not happy with it. They really were not, but the kids loved it. So my costumes became more adult oriented, to where the adults would actually appreciate them more than the kids. And that's where I've been going. I mean, come on, TIE Fighter, most people won't even get that unless you're a Star Wars freak.
Oh, look, it's another left turn. Sorry, had to be done. People were quoting him in the chat, so I had to add in. Anyway.
But it was a good day. Kids got a good haul, I could tell. I always give out full-size candy bars. So
I'm trick-or-treating at your place next year.
I know. You know why I give out full-size candy bars? I give them out for two reasons. No, 2 reasons. One, in case the parents decide to tax the kids, which I know parents do this, okay? I will put them in there. But the other reason is I don't want to have any candy come back at home with me.
Nice.
Because I will sit on the sofa and just eat the whole thing. So this is a way to stop the candy from coming home with me.
Yeah, I was one of those people that used the candy taxes as a libertarian lesson as to why taxation sucks. So my kids feel the pain, because that's been done to them too.
Oh, I used to tax my kids all the time.
You should have seen the look on my daughter's face the first time she was old enough to realize what I was doing.
No.
Have I ever shown you a picture of Gracie making the mad face?
No, you have not.
I thought I'd shown you at least one. I'll have to try to find one for you, because that's the exact same face her mom still makes to this day when she's mad. I'm like, yep, you got that from your mom. She's got the brow furrowed, kind of face turned down a little bit, cheeks puffed out, lips all poofy, just looks like she's ready to punch you in the face. Yeah, that one. But yeah, I'm saving that lesson for mom, because I'm not going to be like, yeah, grandpa's going to tax you. No, that's not how that works. Parents get to teach that lesson.
No, parents get to teach it. Yeah, parents get to teach it. And it was funny because my parents never taxed us when we were trick-or-treating. But then again, they never actually gave out the candy. That was our job. The siblings had the job of doing the door and whatever. And so I have been making my costumes since I was like in my teens anyway. So when my baby brother was born, I was 17 when he was born. So when I was 18, I took him trick-or-treating. My mom said, oh, take him trick-or-treating. I have a costume for him. And the costume didn't fit because it was too big. I mean, he was literally a year old at this point. And so I was like, Mom, that's not going to fit. So I had to think really quick as to what kind of costume to make for him. And I had some because I craft, I did a lot of crafting and whatever. I had some silver lame and I had some felt in different colors. He went as a stuffed potato. And let me tell you something. I did not dress up that year because I was concentrating on his costume so I could take him trick-or-treating as a year old, at a year old, right? He went as a stuffed baked potato. And he came home with a shit ton of candy because of that costume. My dad was eating Reese's for like 3 months.
Nice. So my youngest, I think he was probably 11 or 12, because by then I'd actually already been doing podcasting for a little bit. And I'm guessing at some point he must have heard one of the episodes where I was getting fired up, because one Halloween I'm sitting there and I'm doing the okay. 2 for you, 1 for me, 3 for you, 1 for me, that kind of thing, just making a big production out of it while I'm supposedly going through and checking his candy. So then he waits until I'm done, and then he looks at me and yells, "Taxation is theft," and reaches back across and starts scooping up all the candy. I have to admit, I let him have it.
That's awesome. It is a great time to teach kids about economics, and the different types of socioeconomic systems that we have here in the world. I mean, this is a socialism, right? The whole thing, and then the taxation, it's everything. It's perfect. I taught my kids. They never forgot a lesson. As a matter of fact, it got to the point where when they went trick-or-treating, it was all about the costume because I always helped them with their costumes too. But they knew, they figured out, like about the third time that I did this, that they were not going to keep all that candy. So they would go out with 2 bags or 2 containers. And so one container was literally called the parent tax. The other one was their little pumpkin or whatever it was that they were carrying that year. Every parent that was doling out candy, they all knew. So they would give 2 to them and 1 to the dad tax or the parent tax. And I would get my candy without having done anything. It was awesome. I was the government. So
now that's a cool lesson, but kind of not in the right direction because they just
not in the right direction. No,
how to automate it all instead of figuring out how to keep more of it for themselves.
Yes. So, but eventually, I would actually, I told them you really can't do that. But they thought it was really cool, and it wasn't a big container. It was like was the size of a maybe a 16-ounce tall cup.
Yeah,
or whatever. But the parents all thought it was funny because they really didn't understand what was going on. They just thought that it was like, oh yeah, I always take my kids candy, whatever. It's like, but they weren't looking at it from an economic perspective. So we took that opportunity when the kids decided to actually do that whole parent tax thing to make it a lesson as well. And so I will say my kids are really good with their money. And I think maybe that lesson took root. So yay.
I will say my kids are better with money than I was at their age. So that's an improvement. So
but anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much how I spent my day. Now I'm home. I'm in more relaxed clothing. I had to throw all of the dinner into a crock pot because I was going to be gone. But weirdly enough, we had turkey and sweet potatoes and green beans tonight, which is, well, not exactly the best known fare for Halloween, but it was good. And I know there's some turkey haters out there. I don't care. Turkey's fine as long as you cook it correctly, and I did. So there.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing with it. But yeah, we know. I actually, because I kind of forgot that yesterday was Halloween for us, so I started slow cooking pork roast to do barbecue baked potatoes, and I was like, oh crap, we're gonna be out. So I might as well just go get something. So after it was cooking for like an entire day on low, I just kept it on warm for the rest of the day yesterday. And then shredded it up today and mixed in some sauces and then turned it on high so it started bubbling and boiling in its own juices. It was really, really tender by the time it was done. So yeah, we had barbecue stuffed baked potatoes for dinner tonight, and they were yummy.
Oh well, I am preparing. I am psyching myself. As a matter of fact, after the show, I have to do some kitchen prep for tomorrow because I will be making beef bourguignon for the first time ever, and I'm using Julia Child's recipe, and I have all of the stuff, but some stuff needs to be chopped up and cut up and sliced and diced and whatever. So I'm doing all the prep tonight, putting it all in the refrigerator so that I can then make it for tomorrow. And I cannot wait. I've been wanting to make this for years, and I kept putting it off because I thought oh my goodness, it's French cooking. It's French cooking. And then it hit me. French cooking is not that difficult. It really isn't. It's just different. And so I sat down with the cookbook, Julia Child's cookbook, and I read the whole thing. And I was like, it's just lengthy. It's not difficult. Why have I put this off for so long? so, so that's what I'm making tomorrow because my nephew and his family are coming to visit me on Sunday and staying the night. So I figured if I make it on Saturday, then we can serve it on Sunday and it'll be nice and aromatic and flavorful. So pray for me that it comes out okay.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
It's going to be a big production. Like I'm not even going to be on X most of the day. I'm just going to be like doing something. I don't know. I'm like hoping this comes out right. I'm going to be texting my chef friend. Am I doing this right? Sending pictures.
Just remember, every time they tell you to do something, you have to text back, yes, chef.
Yes, chef. That's right. Yes, chef. And yeah, actually, I don't have a kitchen machete, but I do have a 12-inch chef's knife that I am using tomorrow.
Pretty sure that's basically a kitchen machete. I'm just gonna saying. I mean,
so I just got my new pot for my birthday, so I'm like itching to use it, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna use it for that. I'm gonna wait. So I'm gonna be using a different pot, but I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'll probably use my Darth Vader pot.
I mean, I get excited about pot, but that's something different. So
I've, never partaken.
I honestly,
knowing me, do you think I should?
I didn't start until it became medically available, and then I realized with all the pain that I have, that's really about and I don't use it that much. I usually take about 5 milligrams.
Oh no, every single person that I know that has it for as a medical issue, it's because of pain, and it helps them tremendously.
I didn't realize how much because it'd been a minute since I'd used any, but because of the weather changes, I went ahead and took a little bit before I went to sleep last night. And I got up this morning and I didn't have to do the 20 minutes worth of stretching and everything else. I'm like, dang, maybe I should start using this a little more regularly. That was kind of nice. But I get the problem is it starts wearing off because I can feel everything kind of, but I don't know. Like I said, when it was illegal, I wouldn't have anything to do with it, even though a lot of my family and friends did. And they were like, oh, you should try it. And I'm like, no, because I used to have a badge, for God's sake. Come on. But then again, there's a whole other story with that because one of the first times I was ever invited to a party after work when I was a rookie, all of a sudden everybody started sparking up. And I'm like, didn't we just bust a bunch of people for doing this? And they're like, where the hell you think we got it from, rookie? Like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. It felt like I mean, it wasn't as bad as training day, but for about a half a second, it kind of felt like it. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But yeah, anyway. Yay, fun times. Fun times.
Whew. Okay. So anyway.
I know I made the show go off the rails, but it's what I do. That's why I have a show called that.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, tonight's show is really loose. We were just gonna try and talk about. You know why okay, y'all. So I messaged Rick asking if we were having a show tonight because it is Halloween and he does have grandchildren and he does take them trick-or-treating. So when he told me they did that yesterday, I was like, okay, cool. We can have a show. And so then he asks me the dreaded question, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, oh, crap. And then I remembered there was somebody wrote a story, and I want to say it was in the Daily Mail or UK Telegraph or one of those foreign British tabloids or whatever about Bradley Cooper. Because Bradley Cooper was recently on the red carpet for something. I forget what. I know there's a movie coming out, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But his face looked different. I mean, like seriously different. I'm looking at it going, why is why is his face all puffy and weird looking? And the girl was actually writing about, I think he had Botox done. And so she wrote this entire thing going, no, baby, no, don't do that. And this is why. And I had to agree with her. It was completely up my my ballywick or whatever. I don't particularly care for Botox. I understand that Botox medically for migraines works wonders. I mean, it's a wonder drug for migraines. And so the perk of it being that it smooths out your lines because basically it's just putting your nerves in a deadening state so that you can't have lines or whatever. So you look youthful, you look younger and everything. But it looked to me, when I looked at his face, it looked like he had Botox everywhere. Like his laugh lines, his crow lines, his forehead. Just like, why? And the thing is, for women like men that have the lines, that have the age, that have that distinguished look, that they're seasoned. They're like wine. You know, that's what we want to look at. We don't want somebody who took an iron to their skin. So that's why I suggested the Botox thing. And then I started thinking, you know, that's scary enough. But then you told us about, you know, ghost stories. And I said, yeah, I think we better go with ghost stories.
Well, I mean, that, like I said, that could actually be a ghost story of its own because for all you know, he's been off munching on babies.
Well, it could be the whole, you know, drinking the blood of virgins or something. I don't know who he's dating. I really don't. So, but it just cracked me up that this woman was like, "No, baby, no, don't do that."
Virgin.
It was just, I mean, seriously, I saw his face and I was just like, this is no. I don't know, Ordy. I don't think it's a Hangover movie. I don't even think it was his movie. I think it was somebody's movie, and he's dating her, but I'm not sure. I all I know is that the writer of the article, just was very scathing in her critique of him doing this to his face. And the thing is, even when he was younger, he had the lines, you know, and everything, and women would fall for them. I got to meet him when he was in San Antonio promoting his movie where he played Chris Kyle. And he, you know, he's great gentleman. He was very awesome with our troops. He went to not just the Brooke Army Medical Center, but he also went to see people that are in the gosh, I forget the name of the Center for the Intrepid. The Center for the Intrepid is the area where most people go to rehabilitate from serious war wounds. It is completely closed to the public. So, you know, people just can't walk in there. You have to have permission from the base, the commander and everything. So, you know, he went to visit everybody there, and he was, you know, he was awesome. He really was. I am not aware of his politics, nor do I care. But every single woman that was there, I could see them. I could watch their faces, and they all loved him. And it didn't matter how old they were. They didn't care. They didn't care. To them, he was beautiful, just the way he was. And he had, you know, he wasn't a young guy when he portrayed Chris Kyle, but he wasn't older either. But he had the look of somebody that had been worn by the sun and time and the weather and everything. And it worked. It really worked. And I'm not kidding when I said there was a group of us. We were just standing there, and he was there. He stopped to sign everybody's everything and talked with all the troops. And I mean, he was great. And there were some women there that were going, I want to have his baby. And they were like 60.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's just he had he's a very charming individual. He has this charisma about him, but everybody really found him attractive physically, not just personally, but physically too. And for him to actually, I saw the picture in the on the linked site, and I was just like, what did you do? It's like I used that gif of the pulling of the face from Brazil. It's like somebody did that to him. And I'm like, I don't like it. I want the guy to look his age.
Yeah.
But that was just, I had thought about talking about that, and then I started thinking, maybe I shouldn't, because there are some people that do take Botox, and they do it not just meant for the medical aspect, but also for the cosmetic aspect. And I totally understand that. My niece was actually talking about it, and I'm like, you're 27. What are you talking about? But she wants to get Botox for the lines on her forehead. I'm like, okay. I know.
Considering what that actually is, the fact that people willingly inject it into their body.
Oh yeah, I talked her out of it. I think I talked her out of it. I told her what it was. But most people that take Botox don't understand what it is. They really don't. And it's fine that they don't understand what it is. They just want the results. And if they're satisfied with the results, then that's fine. I mean, seriously, we eat mushrooms. They're but botulism toxin it's a whole other level. Yeah, it's a horror story when you think about it.
Well, I mean, so, the other day I just noticed that on one of the shows that I watched, that I still blame my grandmother for, because she got me hooked on it when I was a kid. I noticed one of the people that still plays one of the main characters, who is a lot older than the character that she plays on TV right now, just did it. Like, she had, I don't know, she did whatever they do to their lips to make them puffy again, because she came in, and I'm like, dude, you don't need to. Just these women need to realize that it's men that age like crap. It's not you guys. Y'all just need to leave your things alone, because trust me, you guys age like wine. We age like milk.
No, it's the other way around.
No, trust me, it's not. It's not.
It's in the song. It's in the song. Marilyn Monroe. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. She literally says, men grow cold. Well, and we grow old, and men grow cold. But men are always distinguished. Men look great as they grow older. Women, we just grow old.
Yeah, I don't know. No. Then something's changed, because all the women that I know are absolutely beautiful in their older years, and I'm over here looking like I fucking swallowed 400 basketballs. So
anyway, so moving on.
All right, so ghost stories. Where do you want to start?
Well, as everybody knows, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so we have our share of ghost stories, urban legends, shit that our parents would make up just to make us stay in bed and or inside the house or whatever.
So wait, you're not gonna get your chupacabra freak on like you did in the other show?
Gonna try not to. No, I figured we talked enough about the chupacabra both here and in Juxtaposition, right? So
and then you read about it in your other show. So
yes.
But yeah, for those of you who haven't learned this yet, when her voice goes up like that 5 octaves, she's turning purple.
Yes, I am.
Just so you know.
Yeah, the chupacabra thing actually came well after I had already left Puerto Rico, so it didn't affect me as a child. But I will say this: it actually made an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, nice.
And that was seriously. And when Unsolved Mysteries went into syndication, that was the only episode I would not watch again. I could not watch that. And I loved Robert Stack. He was just amazing to me. I loved him, but no, not that episode.
The girl took his voice. That
Yes,
and he had
just
some chiseled. That and he had some chiseled features when he wasn't older. So
mhm.
yeah. Anyway,
But as I don't know what it is, but every single Latin American country and Latin areas, I should say, because we have them here in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona has the same thing. Everybody has a crying woman of some sort. Have you noticed that?
wait. What was it? You broke up a little bit. What was that last part?
Everybody has a crying woman somewhere.
Well,
There's always a legend of a crying woman somewhere. It's never a
I mean,
crying guy.
you guys do it so much when you're alive. Is it a surprise you do it when you're dead?
No, not at all. But it is kind
Find
of
that out.
surprising that it is usually in Latin American countries. I'm like, don't you white women cry? I mean, seriously, it's just it's always a Latin American woman or a Latin woman.
Well,
But we actually have one in Puerto Rico. There's a legend, and her name is La Llorona. The same like over here. Okay. It hails from a town called Coamo, and it's literally just one bridge. It's not all over the place like over here in my hometown here in Texas. It's over one highway, and the highway is really long, so you could literally witness this woman within 100 miles. But in this case, it's only over one bridge, one spot on the bridge, which makes this story kind of creepy. And this one I remember my grandmother telling me. Apparently, that this woman, she is searching for her child. I think it was a baby that she had lost. And so she is always crying at this particular bridge. And it's always in the middle of the bridge. The woman, there'd be something to block the bridge, and the driver would come to this, whatever it is that's blocking the bridge, could be a branch, that, tire remnant, I don't know, whatever. And suddenly the woman will appear, and she will actually come up to the driver's side. And if the driver asks her if she needs a ride somewhere, she'll turn into a demon or some kind of horrible looking thing. And the weird part about this particular story is that there have been reports from different people who don't even live there of having witnessed it. So that's kind of weird. When I was growing up, my mom would tell me this story so that I would not go to the river and cross that bridge. Okay. So where I lived near a river. It was a shallow river, but there was a bridge, and you would cross the bridge and it would be, in somebody's farm or whatever that's next to the river. And from there, you could actually go hiking up the mountain. That's right there. Right. And so for my mom to keep me from doing so, she would tell me this story. She was like, La Llorona could get you. She'll be on the middle of she's going to be in the middle of that bridge. And I'd be like petrified. I would be so scared. I would be on the top bunk of my, because I had a bunk bed. I'd be on the top bunk at the corner, just sitting there, sucking on a pacifier. I was 8. And I would get a pacifier to suck on, okay? That is how scared I was. But that was one of the scary stories that my mom would tell me in order to keep me from actually going across the river, which at the time I did not realize I could literally just cross the river on foot because it's very shallow. And even though I was a small being, I could still cross it on foot, but there was a bridge of convenience so that you wouldn't get wet. But she would tell that story so that I wouldn't go hiking up the mountain, unsupervised or whatever. And I'm like, at the time, just thinking about this woman turning into a demon right in front of me but it never hit me. I wasn't driving anything. I wasn't in Cuomo. I wasn't anywhere near where this thing was happening, but it was effective. My mom had a gift for making any story completely creepy. And so I did. I mean, the moment she said that, I would go to my room and I would just sit there going, I'm not doing anything today because I don't trust anything outside today because that woman could come and get me at any point. So that was one of the ones that my mom used to keep me reined into the house.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned, I think you called her La Llorona,
Mhm.
because Amish and I have done a very similar story on juxtaposition. So I wish I had Vincent's previously on juxtaposition loaded up because I don't. But this one is Irish, but the similarities are interesting because that one is the Banshee of La Llorona, and it's the same general story. Except I guess this one was a Spanish noblewoman who went down on a Spanish ship, and basically she boarded the ship with her infant. She supposedly tied the baby to her with a silk sash before the ship went down. So days later, villagers along the Antrim coast began hearing a woman's wailing above the crash of the surf, not in Spanish, but in a wordless, keening cry. Fishermen reported seeing a pale figure on the rocks, soaked and weeping, cradling an invisible child. When approached, she would vanish into mist, leaving the smell of salt and lilacs. So over the centuries, she became part of Irish lore and was known to be an omen or harbinger of death. So it's interesting that because I just looked up your version versus their version because I'd already covered it before, and I'm like, dude, there's some interesting similarities there, including similarity of name. So I found that interesting.
I like I said, everybody has a crying woman somewhere. There's somebody has a crying woman somewhere. And
I mean, I did, but she left. So, oh wait, never mind.
when I was growing up in the Rio Grande Valley, we did have La Llorona there, and apparently she had lost her children. The reason being she drowned her children because the man that was her beloved actually left her to marry somebody else who was more affluent. And so in anger, she killed her children. And so she mourned the fact that she had done such a horrible deed, and she walks along this highway screaming and crying for her children. So, that's the version from where I grew up in Texas. There's a version for where I grew up in Puerto Rico. I'm sure there's a version everywhere of a crying woman. And I'm just like, men deserve to cry too. We should have crying men somewhere in lore. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting because I mean, I guess death imitates life, kind of like art imitating life. Because wailing women everywhere. Oh wait, did I say that out loud? My bad. All right, so my first offering, and I'm sure everybody knows of this one, but this was one of my favorite ones that we've actually covered on Juxtaposition before. The Ghost Flight of 401. So picture this, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1972 in the Florida Everglades. Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashes during final approach. It's tragic, but here's where things take a turn nobody really expected. So the airline salvages parts from the plane that were still usable and uses them as replacement parts on other planes. And suddenly, crew members start seeing familiar faces, like the dead pilot and flight engineer appearing mid-flight. Yeah, right there on the plate.
Okay.
And this isn't just one or two stories. Dozens of crew logs actually mention it. They'd appear in reflection panels or just standing in the galley, warning of system malfunctions. Warnings that more often than not turned out to be real. So basically, the ghosts were pretty much still trying to do their jobs, which makes this one both terrifying and interesting at the same time, because they weren't ghosts of vengeance as one usually talks about, but they were still being vigilant even in death and trying to do their jobs.
Well, that's better than the devil's sentry box.
Wait, that sounds like it's something you have to pay extra for usually. What are you talking about?
Oh no, in Puerto Rico, at the El Morro, which is the main castle fortress that's in San Juan, there is a sentry box. It's called La Garita del Diablo, the devil's sentry box. And the legend says that the devil actually took one of the guys that was in that sentry box, one of the guards. There are several sentry boxes that are posted throughout the fortress, and they all face outward to the sea so that you can be a lookout for any coming ships. And so at night, you have several people in one person in each of them. The way you keep yourselves awake is like every hour or so you yell to the next one, and the next one yells to the one next to it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one night they were doing the yelling, and they yelled to the one guy. This particular sentry box is more offset, is further out than the others because of the way the actual fortress is constructed. And nobody heard from him. So they called out again and nobody heard from him. So they thought, well, maybe he fell asleep or whatever. So came the dawn. All they found there was his uniform and his rifle, his weapon. And the story goes that the devil took him. No. Chances are that the guy just decided to take off his uniform and leave his weapon and desert so that he could hitch up with some chick. Okay. But the legend persists, and it was considered bad luck for that specific sentry box. So whenever somebody was actually assigned to that center, because people were assigned daytime for that specific box. One person was assigned at daytime and another person was assigned at nighttime. And that was the route. It wasn't, nobody ever, they didn't circulate. You had that sentry box for the rest of your time at the fortress. So nobody wanted that sentry box because they were all afraid that the devil was going to take them. And so if you go to visit El Morro, that particular sentry box is actually cordoned off. People still try to get in it. They have tried scaling the wall, and I don't know if you all have seen any pictures of it, but the wall's pretty high. Because if you're at the beach, it's like 50 or 60 feet up, and people try scaling it straight up, and they've hurt themselves. People try to get in there because it's now a game. They want to say, hey, I survived being in the devil's sentry box, overnight or whatever, that kind of thing. But it's cordoned off. Nobody can get to it or anything. They do have a sign. This is the devil's sentry box. You just can't get next to it. You can't, you see it from afar or whatever. But that's one of the fun ones, in my opinion.
I mean, like I said, the name of that alone earns one of these.
Oh,
yes. Just saying.
It's funny. Everybody loves English and everything, but Spanish we call it el idioma florido, the flowery language, because it is so flowery. It really is. When devil's sentry box, just kind of, it's kind of clunky. But la Garita del Diablo, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
nice.
No, not Satan's hot box. That's another story for another time. And after Twitter after dark, for sure.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it's dark where I'm at. Just playing. Oh wait, never mind. I'm gonna make Aggie spit her drink out. I better stop. Okay, so for my next one, let's trade cockpit ghosts. I almost said crockpot because I was still thinking about dinner. For something a little more southern this time, the Myrtles Plantation. This place has everything: creaking floors, cold spots, and even a ghost named Chloe. Chloe was the servant who poisoned her master's family.
What?
That's that's the one. Legend says she baked poison into a birthday cake to earn forgiveness after being punished for eavesdropping. It didn't go so well though. They say she roams the halls in a green turban, shows up in mirrors and doorways, and so Southern hospitality doesn't just involve mint juleps. It turns out it can also include full body apparitions.
Okay.
So
Creepy.
yeah, so she haunts the entire plantation. You can see her all over the place.
And she just decided to kill them one day because she just wanted to.
I mean, it doesn't really say very much. Just they had a bit. She basically got punished, which from what I'm assuming back in the day, that usually meant you either got the crap kicked out of you or put in a really uncomfortable place for a very long, extended period of time. So she said, "Fine, screw you guys. Here, have a birthday cake." Oh wait, I poisoned it.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
Wow, that's a hell of a way to go. I'll be honest though, I'd eat a cake. I mean, I'm a cake girl. I'm a dessert girl. I will eat any dessert. If it's got sugar on it, hell, I'll eat lug nuts if they're covered in chocolate. I'm not picky. How to kill Aggie? Well, now you know.
Cover anything that's poisonous in chocolate, she'll never know.
Nope. And you know what? I'll die happy because it's sweet.
Oh, see, this is that whole me having a very dangerous job once upon a time, which developed a really dark, terrible sense of humor. So I was just thinking chocolate covered almonds with arsenic, because you bite into one, you just think it's a bad almond, and it's already too late.
And it's already too late. Yes. And you know, a lot of people, it's a. I remember reading. Oh gosh, what was it? It wasn't Mickey Spillane. It wasn't Dashiell Hammett. Nevada Gas was the name of the story. And it was about the bitter almonds scent that cyanide has. And then people were asking me, it's like, well, how do you know it's bitter when you smell it? And I'm like, because your sense of smell is attached to your sense of taste. Don't you know that? It's like people didn't. And most people look at me like, what? Like, oh God. But neither here nor there. So anyway, there is an interesting one from Puerto Rico that I always thought was kind of weird, because when I came to the States, and I grew up in Texas. I came up to the States in '76, and it wasn't until about right after I graduated from high school, I was in college, I learned about the Marfa lights. So in Texas, we have, historical markers everywhere. Marfa actually has the only historical marker devoted to a phenomenon that nobody has been able to explain. Marfa has these, it has this lights, and some people have surmised, oh, it's just trick of the desert, the lights, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but they're not acting like a trick of the desert, heat or anything like that. And sometimes you see them during the day, and sometimes you see them without cars. So, there's just whatever's going on out in Marfa. It attracts a lot of people. People go over there to see Marfa. It has become a really neat tourist destination, but they've kept it really small. So that's what I like about Marfa. But apparently, Marfa's not the only place with the light issue. This one is something that I remember my grandmother talking about, because she was such a devout Catholic. She literally crawled on her knees to go to church on Easter, on Good Friday. I mean, seriously, from her house to the church, she was on her knees. We finally talked her into knee pads, okay? But that's how she would go to church. And she walked to church every Sunday. She did not take any transportation. It didn't matter how far away the church was. She was going to walk because that's how it was done. So she was a very devout Catholic. And she's the one that told me about this story. And the story is about a hacho. A hacho is basically, like you know how you burn sage, a little bundle of sage or something like that? Well, we have something like that, but it's not sage. It's just a bundle of twigs that we keep because sometimes we don't have a flashlight. So in the before times, or in the Amish times, to give some Orty credit, a lot of us would actually carry these bundles with some matches. And if it was after dark, we would light these to go, to light the way and everything. And there's a story about a man, and I want to say the town it wasn't Utuado. It started with a vowel. I want to say it wasn't Utuado, maybe Orocovis or something like that, but it was in a town that started with a vowel. And he was out late. He was out fishing. I don't know what he was doing, but he was probably fishing because it was near it has to be Orocovis because it was near a lake. So he was fishing and he was walking back home. So he lit his hacho. And for those of you unaware, it's spelled Jacho, hacho. The J is an H sound in Spanish. So it's hacho. And it burned out before he could get to where he was going, his house or whatever. So he was looking for whatever else he had on him, and he found a crucifix that was wooden. So he lit it. He lit the crucifix using it as a lantern, and then he got home. But once he got home, the following day, he fell sick, and there was no cure for his illness. There was no reason for his illness. He died a day after that. So the tale goes that if you're in this area where the lake is in Orocovis or whatever, if you're in this area, you will see these lights just floating around. And it is basically this man who is looking for the ashes of the crucifix, because once he actually gathers all the ashes of the crucifix, then he can leave the earth and ascend to heaven. That is his punishment on earth, is to find the ashes of this crucifix. And as we all know, what happens with ashes, as they burn, they just float away into the air and, never to be seen again. So, he's going to be around for a long time, I'm afraid. But my grandmother used to tell me this tale to enforce the absolute sanctity of the crucifix. And she must have had 50 crucifixes in her house. I'm not joking here. That woman was devout as all get out. When you walk up to the front of the house, hanging from the front door on the outside was a rosary that took up the whole door. It was a huge rosary. And there was another one in back of it. Okay. So it's like, why do you even bother going to church? You have the church right here. So I told her that once and she was like, blasphemer, give me 5 Hail Marys. I'm like, oh my God. So I just did the 5 Hail Marys right then and there. But that was her way of actually enforcing the whole.
I'd have gotten in more trouble. I'd have been like, why would you want me to throw a football in the house?
But, that was her way of kind of reinforcing the sanctity of the crucifix and what it meant. But I never forgot that, because when I came here and learned about the Marphalites, I started thinking, did somebody burn a crucifix too? It's like that poor guy. He's going to be I don't know if anybody's been to Marfa, but that's in West Texas, and it's like desert out there. So, he's going to be looking for a long time. But according to my cousins, they still see the lights. My cousin lives in Adjuntas, and so she travels through Orocovis every so often to go to the other side of the island. And she was like, "Yeah, people still talk about the lights. The lights are still there." So that's kind of a weird thing that people see. And admittedly, it's not like, bright lights or, like a flashlight or anything like that. It's just like if it were a match being lit. That's how small the flame is of the light that you see. So that's why it freaks out a lot of people, because, if it were a flashlight, then people would say, "Oh yeah, it's somebody just fucking with us,"
Yeah.
But no, and the thing is, it's not at people level. The lights are really high up and like 10 feet up. So it's not like it's somebody down below lighting a match in the dark, so that's why people are still kind of freaked out about it. I've never seen them, and I'm not going back home to see them. I'm okay. I'm totally.
Chicken. Chicken.
I know.
El pollo loco. Just kidding. Anyway. All right. So for my next offering, we have the ghosts of the Queen Mary. So they called her the Queen Mary, the Pride of the Atlantic. Keeled in Scotland in 1934, she was more than a ship. She was a statement of power and elegance. When she launched, people said she wasn't just crossing the ocean, she was commanding it. During her golden years, she ferried the rich, the royal, and the restless. Winston Churchill, Clark Gable, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. If you were someone in the 1930s, you walked her decks. She had grand ballrooms, sweeping staircases, chandeliers that glowed like constellations. The Queen Mary wasn't built just to travel. She was built to impress. Then came the war. In 1939, she was stripped of all of her luxury and painted battleship gray. From there, she was reborn, and everybody started calling her the Great Ghost. She was a troop carrier so fast the enemy couldn't catch her. 16,000 men could fit aboard her at once, an entire small city under steam and steel. But war takes its toll on all things, even ships. In 1942, she collided with her own escort, the HMS Curacao. The Queen Mary sliced the smaller vessel clean in two. Over 300 sailors perished in the cold Atlantic, and by wartime orders, she couldn't even stop to help. Some say that's where her hauntings began. After the war, she returned to her royal self, refitted, refined, and resplendent, but by the late 50s, jet planes were stealing her passengers. In 1967, she made her final voyage, not to another port of call, but to Long Beach, California, where she would never sail again. That's where the ghosts, they say, apparently got comfortable. If you walk her halls at night, they say you'll hear the echoes. Children laughing near the first-class swimming pool, even though the pool's been dry for decades. Wet footprints appearing on tiles that hadn't seen water in years. In her engine room, near watertight door number 13, the spirit of a young crewman, John Henry, is said to linger, still checking gauges, still doing his job. And cabin B340, it stayed sealed for years. Guests reported blankets pulled off, faucets running, lights flickering, and voices whispering their names. Skeptics call it imagination. Paranormal researchers call it energy. Memory embedded in the ship's steel bones. But if you've ever walked her decks after dark, you don't need a definition. You can feel it in your very bones. The air gets heavy. The sound of the sea feels closer. And sometimes it sounds like she's still moving. The Queen Mary never really stopped sailing. She just found another kind of ocean to cross, the one between the living and the dead. Mwahaha.
Wow. And I wanted to take a cruise on that.
Yeah, dude, that one is I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever caught any of the stuff that she has been included on, but yeah, I mean, she's been on like some major like ghost hunting shows and stuff, which I thought was amazing when I first started looking up the data on this one. So yeah. She was featured on Ghost Adventurers Most Haunted and numerous documentaries, and actually still to this day runs its own ghost tours using historical logs and engineering blueprints to pinpoint highly active areas. Paranormal researchers often note that the Queen Mary still hole may actually amplify the residual energy, creating a literal echo chamber for past trauma. Even skeptics who have been there admit something about the atmosphere when you're there feels charged, I guess is one way to put it. So yeah, there you go.
That's kind of interesting because I mean, you hear of ghost ships. I mean, they make movies. There's a movie literally called Ghost Ship.
Yep.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't remember that much about it because I didn't really. For some reason, it didn't really hold my attention. But yeah, I remember that I've seen it.
It was with, I think Juliana Margulies was in it, and several other people that are not A-list actors, but well-known actors that were not as well-known as they are today. I want to say Owen Wilson was in it, but I'm not quite sure. But I watched it. The first time I watched it, I was like kind of creeped out. The second time I watched it, I was laughing my ass off because physics came into play, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. But whatever. But yeah, I mean, the concept of a ghost ship. Hell, the concept of ghost ship is what Pirates of the Caribbean is all about. The legend of the Black Pearl, of the Curse of the Black Pearl. There's a story behind that they don't tell you. You have to actually find out why it's black. And they don't tell you. You have to piece that all together. And but that's not the only one, you know. But there's always been this, you know, the Flying Dutchman. It's another good example of a ghost ship. And there's a certain romance attached to ghost ships that you don't find in other forms of transportation.
All right, so I have to do this. MD has officially won the dad joke trombone of the show so far. In the chat, amazing fact: after more than a century, the Titanic pool still has water in it.
Okay, that dad joke, it works.
That's why I gave it a shout out. I was like, damn it, I wish I would have thought of that one. I'm usually pretty good with the dad jokes. I actually have a couple of my kids who really enjoy those kind of things are on text lists that I randomly shoot them to. And I'm like, I can't believe I've never thought of that one. I'm sad he came up with it first. But yeah, as dad jokes go, it was bad but good at the same time. So joke well crafted, sir. Joke well crafted. Anyway, right. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that had to be done.
Oh, no, that's fine. There is something that I always thought was kind of weird. And
What's that?
There's a place in Puerto Rico, and it's south of my hometown. It's in a town called Ponce. And they call it the haunted castle, El Castillo Embrujado. Now, embrujado doesn't translate exactly to haunted. It's more like bewitched. That's a literal translation, but that's what they mean. They mean it's haunted. And it was this really nice hotel. I think it was called the Intercontinental or something like that. And
if so, is that in John Wick's universe? Because I think that's what that one was called.
No. No, I don't think John Wick would live here. I don't think anybody would live here. But when it was an hotel, it was actually really nice. I don't know what happened. I think it was somewhere around, I want to say when I must have been 18, 19 years old. Something happened. It could have been, I don't know. I have no idea, but it was abandoned. And people, ghost hunters come to this place all the time because a lot of people think that there's a bad energy attached to this particular hotel. They don't know what it is. They say that there's, they see ghosts, they see apparitions, they see objects moving. And I'm like, there's still objects there. This is Puerto Rico. That place should have been picked clean. I'm sorry. I'm Puerto Rican. I know what I'm talking about. There is no way there could still be things there. I mean, seriously, we're scavengers. But they say that there are things that move without explanation. And a lot of people have felt when they go in to actually just, those people that do the abandoned places on YouTube or whatever, they go in and they just videotape everything. They don't tell you exactly where they are, but sometimes they will say where they're at because the energy is so bad. And I remember seeing I got this from a YouTube video, one of those abandoned people, that was doing the whole video for it. He said that they tried going, they went in, they did the whole first floor, the ground floor area, and then they went up the stairs. The stairs are kind of weird. There are two sets of stairs. There's one all the way to the back and one's all the way to the front. And so they went up the front steps and they went to the second floor. And he said that it felt so bad that his body felt like it was off. And when, he said, I have to go. And they came back downstairs. They came outside and they said, what's wrong? He says, my body it just felt off. It says, what do you mean? Are you sick? Are you coming down with something? It's like, no, my body was off. Like my body was here, but my spirit was off of it. Like it was off. Like it wasn't, his spirit wasn't inside his body. It was off to the side. And the guy's like, are you serious? And he said, yeah, let's not do this one. But his friend wanted to do it. So he stayed outside. Then his friend went and his friend came back outside. He couldn't make it past the third floor. So, there was, I remember there was a big landslide just north of it. I want to say I just graduated from high school, and we had a huge rainstorm. It was like there was a storm that moved through that was really, really bad, and there was a huge landslide, and it took out an entire barrio from my hometown. That was just north of this particular hotel. And a lot of people died. I remember that. So I want to say it was over 100 people who died, that died. And it happened in the middle of the night. So there was like no warning or anything. And they think that the hotel, that's where these spirits are hanging out. So I asked one of my cousins if they've ever been down there to see it, because one of my cousins is really into ghost hunting. I mean, she goes to all of these ghost hunting things. She'll fly to Santo Domingo to actually go ghost hunting stuff. I'm like, okay, like we don't have enough of this shit on the island. But she'll do this for fun and everything. And she said, that is one place I'm not going. And I'm like, why not? What's so bad about this particular hotel? She said, from what I hear, the energy there is so bad. I just don't want to risk it. She literally says she just wants happy ghosts. She doesn't want bad ghosts. So she goes to where the happy ghosts are. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure. Okay. I think she's looking for Casper. I don't know. But she said, yeah, I'm not going there because it is just not a happy place. It's from all of the reports, everybody that talks about it, that there's something off about the energy at that particular hotel. The weird thing is that's not the only abandoned hotel on the island or even in the area, but that's the one hotel that people avoid. Now, I'm not going to say there's no tagging there because the graffiti is everywhere, but the graffiti, I've noticed it's only on the outside. The inside, the pictures that I saw didn't have graffiti. It's almost like people started graffiti and then just left. They just could not stay there. So that's relatively a new phenomenon for the area that I grew up in. And I'm really, really glad my grandmother's not here to see that, because I'm sure she would it would all be brimstone. Okay. I mean, she'd be like, oh yeah, that's a portal to hell, so I'm just kind of glad she's not here for that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, your grandmother would call it something else in Spanish. That would probably be
Es la garrita del diablo, but in big time.
Nice. See, there's a reason I brought that back up again. All right. So I guess my final one is a bit of a double shot. And oddly enough, I almost closed out mine with a haunted hotel here, the Skirvin, but almost everybody knows about that one. So I looked for a couple of lesser known ones in Oklahoma. And that's why it kind of turned into a double shot, because there are two former forts from our territory days that are still partially standing and considered haunted. So long before Oklahoma was a state, when the land was still wild and the borders of nations shifted with the wind, there stood the first lonely outpost that we're going to be discussing tonight, known as Fort Washita. It was built in 1842 near what's now Durant, Oklahoma. It was meant to keep the peace between settlers, soldiers, and the tribes of Indian Territory. But if you stand there after dark, that peace there they were looking for is long gone. The fort's walls are mostly ruins now. Stone foundations, silent chimneys, and a few weathered barracks that lean into the wind. But the locals will tell you it's not empty. They'll talk about a woman, a headless one. No one's sure who she was. Some say she was a soldier's wife, murdered by bandits when her husband was away on patrol. Others claim she was a Chickasaw woman, killed by those who thought she carried gold. But they all agree on one thing: her ghost still walks the grounds, searching for the head she lost. Campers and park rangers have seen her, a figure in white, gliding through the old parade grounds. Lantern in hand, her neck wreathed in light. And if you speak while she passes, the air turns cold enough to see your breath. Some say she follows those who mock her, right up to the edge of the park gates before fading into the dark. They call her the Headless Woman of Fort Washita. And every spring, when the air grows thick and still, visitors say they can hear the soft clink of metal spurs and the sound of a woman's scream cut short, as if the fort itself is reliving that final violent night where she lost her head. Fort Washita is a ruin now, but ruins remember. And then we have my final for the evening, because we are just about out of time anyway. This one is involving Fort Reno, and these are the Ghost Riders of Fort Reno. Northwest of Oklahoma City, near the town of El Reno, stands a place that's seen every chapter of the state's story, Fort Reno. It began as a frontier cavalry post in the 1870s, keeping watch over the plains. It later became a U.S. Army remount depot, a German POW camp, and eventually a cemetery for soldiers, settlers, and native scouts alike. The soil there is heavy with history, and some say not all of it was easy history. Visitors after dark tell of hearing horsemen on the move, the steady rhythm of cavalry riders crossing the parade ground. Guards have chased the sounds thinking vandals or pranksters were about, but when they reach the road, there's absolutely nothing there, just hoofprints in the dust that stop mid-step. Inside the officers' quarters, the air is colder than the rest of the fort. One ranger reported hearing of a full marching platoon moving past his window in the middle of the night. Boots on gravel, the jingle of bridles. But when he went outside, the parade ground was totally empty. Other times it whispers in German, faint, confused voices calling for help from the old POW cells. The cemetery is the stillest place of all, rows of white stones under a wide, endless sky. People leave flowers there and swear they see figures in blue and gray, standing watch over the grave. Soldiers from both sides of the Civil War, long since buried, but never quite dismissed. Some say Fort Reno is peaceful now, a quiet monument to the past, but others say that on moonless nights, when the plains are black and the stars are sharp as glass, the cavalry still rides, ghostly silhouettes galloping through the mist, the echo of bugles guiding them home. And those are my final 2 ghost stories. You're welcome.
Creepy. But really nice, actually, in a way. I mean, I like to differentiate the nice ghost stories from the bad ghost stories, you know?
Well, yeah, and that's honestly something I was kind of looking for, because if you'll notice, a lot of mine that I talked about tonight are ghosts kind of still doing their gig for the most part, even though
Yeah.
they're ghosts. So,
I know there was one a ghost story that I heard from someplace in Colorado. There's a museum that was that's at a former fort, and every night before the museum closes, the gentleman comes in and talks to the poker table and says, "Gentlemen, we are turning off the lights. We will see you in the morning." And they walk out. They close up the museum and everything. When they come back in the morning, the lights are on and the cards are on the table. So, you know, that to me is a nice ghost story. That's cool.
Yeah, they're nice enough. They're nice enough to clean up after themselves.
Yes, the bad ones are like the chick that turns into a demon. Yeah, that's not so nice. So anyway. Well, that's pretty much a good I guess we're done for the show.
So that little pause you heard right there was Aggie trying to figure out if she's gonna have to sleep with the lights on for the rest of the night.
Oh, I am definitely sleeping with the lights on.
Nice. But yeah, unless you've got anything else, that was my. I think I did 5. I had 5 picked. I just combined the last 2. I think.
I think I just had 3 or 4. I have no idea. I don't know. We just talked a lot the first half hour about stuff, random stuff, and then whatever. So anyway, why don't you tell us where we can find you?
Don't look for me. It's a trap. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me here.
It's a good trap.
You can find. Well, that's a matter of opinion.
It's got good cheese.
Just call me cheesy. Anyway, you can find me tomorrow night doing the final episode of Juxtober, even though it's November 1st. We're going to be doing our cryptids panel, and if memory serves, I think you're actually supposed to be on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as far as I know, it'll be me, Amish, BZ, and I think Jeff. And I
think Jeff is going to join us. Yeah,
I don't remember if there was anybody else or not, but anyway, basically, we're just going to all talk about our favorite cryptids, some of which have been discussed in the last 4 weeks of Juxtaposition, and there may even be some surprises, but that'll be happening tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Sunday night, you can find me 10 p.m. Eastern, where I hope to get back to my series with Kingdom and Country in between weather issues and power issues, because we had storms over the weekend. Plus, I wasn't feeling that great anyway. And then wedding is getting in the way lately. That one's been on pause. And as far as the Bible study one that happened on Wednesday, I'll be getting caught up on the archives tomorrow. So if you guys are looking for that, you'll be able to find it later. And then Monday night, I'll be doing America Off the Rails, 10 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, everything starts over with The Daily Show again, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here live on KLR Radio. Then I'll be hanging around with some random Canadians, the Amish one, and VC and Jeff, and probably at least one other person. And that'll be for the Manorama podcast, which is celebrating its 3rd year in service on Tuesday. Other than that, feel free to check our schedule, because I do so many shows. I'll be here talking all night if I don't tell you to do that. And I also contribute to the websites known as Misfits Politics, The Loftus Party, and Twitchy. You can find me on X at RowdyRick73 and the network at KLRN Radio. How about you, Aggie? Where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me at Aggie the Barkeep. You can find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with the ever suave Brad Slager. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Friday nights doing He Said, She Said with the awesome You. The second Wednesday of every month, the guys get together for Toxic Masculinity at 8 the M, and I bring the drink of the evening. And Jeff and I now do a book podcast called Spirited Books, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the first Monday of every month. So look for us next week. We will be back.
All right, folks, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and play us out with the Halloween version of the song I made, but I wanted to close out with the normal one first and then fade back into that again. So bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your Halloween.